Khatka told the officer that the agreement doesn't recognize the new system and thus the country will require to assess the impact of the new arrangement. Now, under the Agnipath scheme, soldiers are being hired for a period of 4 years and based on performance, only 25% of the recruits will be extended for their full service. The remaining soldiers will be demobilized with a severance package of around 11 to 12 lakhs. They will be called Agni Veers. What does this really mean for the Gurkha regiment in India? What does it mean for India-Nepal relations and of course for our forces at large? Let's open this up for discussion. I'd like to welcome Major General G.G. Dwivedi. He's a global and strategic affairs and defense expert. Major General P.K. Sehgal, global and strategic defense expert. Lieutenant General Raj Kadyan, ex-deputy chief of army defense expert as well. And Major Mohammed Ali Shah, who's also a defense expert. I welcome you all. I'm going to start first of all. Major Mohammed Ali Shah, I think sir has actually at least a valid point. How can you have two different schemes for one army? One, of course, the agreement he was referring to, for the reference and benefit of our viewers, it's the 1947 Tripatriate Agreement, which was signed between UK, India and Nepal. And Nepal says now that it's a violation of this agreement and they want all three parties to come together and once again go through the agreement, perhaps make any amendments if needed. But till that time, they are going to halt the recruitments to the Gorkha regiment. So that is for the perspective of viewers. Major Shah, over and above, of course, the breach of the agreement, possible to have two different systems for one army? Would it not, perhaps forget Nepal, could it not antagonize all the Indian recruits as well? Because many of them, even though they have recruited under the Agnipath scheme, given a chance, all of them would want to go back to what it was earlier.
Meenakshi, firstly, I commend you for your knowledge on the army and especially on this particular segment.
No, I don't. I had read this earlier. I don't. I mean, it's all you all who are the experts. So I hand the floor to you.
You know, I am generally complimenting you because I know it's not easy to be doing a panel with such a learned general sitting there and a youngster like me who has very limited knowledge, experience and understanding compared to the generals. Of course, you can't compare that. But let me tell you what my understanding, I totally respect, honor and understand what the generals were speaking just now. But let me try to tell you something from a youngster's perspective. Perhaps that is what motivated me to join the army, in fact. So I myself am a short service officer, and actually I joined the army with a clear mind that I will do 5 years in the army. So I signed up for that. So I am an advocate of the Agnipath scheme, and mind you, no government, no one from the defense forces, from the army or someone has come and told me, please speak this way. No, it's something which I believe.
Okay, fair enough.
Now, 15th August 1947, before India's independence, we had Gurkha troops serving in the British Indian Army. So, as rightly brought out by you, in the Tripartite Agreement was signed where there were 10 battalions at that time of the Gurkha Rifles. 4 battalions would go to British, to the Britishers, and 6 will remain with India. Namely, 2nd, 6th, 7th and 10th would go to the Britishers, to UK. And now the 1st, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 8th and 9th would stay back in India. They would be the Gurkha Rifles in India. Now, today, Britain is left with only 2, the Royal Gurkha Rifles of the 1st and the Royal Gurkha Rifles, the 2nd, 2 battalions, fine. Now, today we have 43 Gurkha Rifle battalions in the entire Indian Army. Well, in 1962 war, again, after the war, Pakistan and China also made a request to Nepal to induct Gurkha troops in their forces, a request which was rightly turned down by Nepal at that time. There have also been attempts, also subtle attempts by us to reduce the dependency on the Gurkha troops as well. Yeah. For example, I'll give you the 6th one Gurkha Rifles battalion, which was newly raised in the year 2006.
They've even started taking soldiers from Kumaon and the Gadwal region and including them in the Gurkha Rifles, and also there is also another Indian Gurkha Rifle.
What you are speaking is, what you are saying is totally different. Well, what happened was, the component you're talking about, the component is 30%, 70%,
yeah,
or 60%.
Yeah, I was talking of the component, yeah.
So you're talking about the component, that's different. I'll come to that. Now, I have served with the Assam Rifles. Now, Assam Rifles also has such a component where maximum of them would be from northeast, But many of them from UP, MP, Rajasthan also have
So okay,
been joining the
I don't understand your point. Are you trying to say that should we have a pure Indian Gurkha regiment like there is one, if I'm sure, started in 2016? Okay.
Not at all. Try to understand me, Meenakshi.
Okay.
So what happened? So if the tripartite agreement was signed in 1947, I think Nepal is being fair enough in asking for, because we didn't sign up, they didn't sign up for Agniveer, right? They didn't sign up. Though I'm an advocate of Agniveer, I see a lot of loopholes. I see the person who actually designed Agniveer at that time did not cater for the fact that they are Gurkha troops also in the Indian Army. That should have been taken in account of.
Okay.
In fact, if that was done that time, then India should have spoken to Nepal when the whole Agniveer was coming in. That I don't, at least from my limited knowledge.
And it's a fair point you raise, and I think it's a pertinent point you raise, that the policy makers, when they were thinking of introducing the Agniveer, it seems rather baffling. How could they not think of the Gurkha regiment? End of the day, the reaction of Nepal, considering the remittances which are sent back home in Nepal, it was an expected reaction.
One issue is which Major Shah raised, and he is very close friend because we served together. His father was commanding, co-governor, commanding division. Well, he had a choice to serve for 5 years.
Interesting that 3 of the veteran panelists really in this broadcast are against the Agniveer scheme. Major Shah, you're the only one who's a vociferous supporter of the scheme. End of the day, I think as of now, at least till the courts actually give a judgment on the scheme, it's almost redundant to speak of the merits or demerits of the scheme, considering that the government has gone ahead with it. End of the day, the question at hand is a Gurkha regiment and our ties with Nepal. Nepal, of course, is one country which has always stood steadfastly with India, even, when they were very close to China. At a time when there are doubts in Nepal over China, would you not say that, this sort of issue over the Agniveer scheme could sort of be a dampener between the relations when we speak of the two countries, Major Shah?
Yes, Meenakshi, the generals are absolutely right, and I totally agree with General Dwivedi. In fact, we have fought counterinsurgency together in Northeast, and he's bang on. Yes, I had the option of doing only 5-year bit. But here, so I did mention that there are certain loopholes in the Agniveer scheme. The 4-year thing should also be, it should not be mandatory. Oh, you come only for 4 years and then, no. It should be the choice that I had. So I totally agree. I am on the same page with what my seniors over here speak, and I totally agree with that. Yes, I had the option. Yes, no, Meenakshi, now we're talking about the Gurkha troops. You know, Meenakshi, also in 62, what happened, I will tell you. There was a Gurkha at the border. Very interesting story, Meenakshi. The Gurkha battalion was positioned at the border, and Chinese troops came. On a loudspeaker, they announced, "Oh, why are you serving with the Indian Army? Come on our side. Come on, we look after you." The Gurkha troops, their loyalty and their patriotism towards India, their loyalty towards, it's unquestionable. They gave them a sound thrashing, verbally also and otherwise also. The Chinese troops went, "Piche mud, tez chal, daud ke chal." They'll never forget that. So now, though they have been demand, because Chinese know that Gurkhas are a very, very good fighting force. For example, the Gurkha rifles, the Assam rifles, they are a very good fighting force. Now, the Chinese should not, as the general rightly brought out, the Chinese should not be in a position to take advantage of that. That will weaken our stand. Also, the Chinese have tried stunts by actually doing salami slicing in Nepal, in Hamda district, and constructing pillar number 11, number 12, which is just 70 kilometers from our Pithoragarh. So China will take advantage of this, and that we have to be very, very, very about. That is a matter of national security, which is even I am concerned about. And yes, though I am a supporter of Agniveer, no doubt about it. And,
okay.
And the very fact is that, I will tell you, my father, who's ADC, I served under him as his ADC when he was commanding a corps. We are not on the same page. We do know he believes Agniveer, like the way generals over here believe that Agniveer is not a good scheme. I believe.
Okay, I think this debate around Agniveer is never ending, and also I find it very interesting. You say that you are for Agniveer, but you want the 4 years to be made voluntary. I'd like to thank all the guests who joined us on the broadcast.